Okay, that's going. Let me just kick this on for all my. I wonder why it keeps showing it now. Dun dun dun. So, this evening we're doing some 3D printing. Doing some work on the Tevo Tornado. I should probably turn off that loud dehumidifier. Let's see. Let's get this shared. Dun, dun, dun. Let's see who shows up, if anyone does. Might just be me looking at me. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, YouTube is not very good at when you start a stream. What happens is whatever you use for a title the day before kind of sticks around. So let's see what I can do here. Okay. All of that stuff looks correct. Alright, so. Well, when I get some people in here, I'll share what I've been working on here. Let's go over to that view. And if you're watching, by all means, please say hello so I know you're there. I know sometimes this pops up and tells me there's people watching, but not everyone chimes in. Some people just lurk. I'm guilty of that too. Was going to do some flying, but thought I'd get back into 3D printing. Had a nice little exodus from 3D printing for a few days, but I cannot die. Okay, that light's pretty bright. That's why I'm wearing the hat. As I mentioned a few videos back, my shiny head and bright lights don't go well together. So, if you're watching but you're not in the chat, that's okay too. So what I've done this evening is there were a bunch of tips that other YouTubers had made for this printer, and this is the Tevo Tornado, and it is probably my least favorite printer of the bunch. Um, I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about this printer. People like printers that are super cheap, and this certainly fits the bill of being super cheap. It's $329, and you pretty much have to calibrate, print upgrades. It's like a lot of these Chinese printers, it's marketed as to the beginners, and I think the average beginner would have a great deal of difficulty with this because, well, the first little things, they don't include filament. They don't include a filament stand. This is one that I made for my CR10. The CR10 does have its own filament holder, but I prefer the one with the ball bearings. But anyway, I mean, if you're brand new to 3D printing and, you know, come on, give them some filament. I mean, you gave them tools. So this evening, the things that I did to the printer a while back, and let me get the laptop view over here. I had done this beautiful dragon print, and at first I thought, this is beautiful. And then I looked up over here and noticed that the head was all shifted over. And then I also noticed the same thing on the wings. So I thought that was interesting. I was expecting to see the artifact and the salmon skin that we're used to seeing with the Tevo Tornadoes, but yeah, seeing the Y shift, I kind of sank in my seat a little bit. What else do I got to fix on this thing? But Rui Raptor and several other YouTubers that are very active with the Tevo Tornado had made the suggestion that you need to open up the electronics box and you have to increase the voltage on the Y stepper driver to 1 volt. Mine was set to 0.90. I don't know what everyone else's is set at, but that's where mine was. So that has been done. A few other little things that I did while I had it, well, technically down, is I did measure the voltage on the other drivers, and those do seem to be at spec where they're supposed to be. Well, I also did a few other things. I don't know if I can get the camera back there, but actually, I don't know if the mouse will show up on the screen here. Probably not. But in the background, on the Y stepper motor, I had printed out, but I hadn't installed it yet. And that was one of the Y motor mounts they had suggested, because the piece of metal that's holding that Y motor to the back is it's 1/8-inch aluminum. Well, whatever the metric conversion is of that. I'm going to say 1/8 inch because I'm just so used to working with Imperial. But and I know a couple of you guys are going to catch the funny haha because I do have a Stormtrooper in Imperial. Haha, gotcha. Uh, so anyway, yeah, that's what I did there. Let me see if I can move that camera a little closer. And so there you can see the Y stepper motor bracket. And nice little print, you know. So it's going to reinforce and hold that in place. So that not too bad, not a bad idea. The other thing that I did is I know there's a bunch of ways you can do the wire strain relief on the heated bed, and I went with the most common way of resolving this, which was to just take a wire tie and wrap it around the bed spring, rather than try to find something or figure out a material that would survive on a heated bed platform. I just went with that. So what we're doing right now is I found a print that's about 200 millimeter tall, and I wanted to find something. Let me move my camera back. There we go. You're back to watching the printer. So what I am printing, I found on Thingiverse, and essentially I just wanted to print something tall, something, it didn't have to be anything super fancy. I just wanted something tall. I want to see if I really have the Y. Lost my train of thought while I was looking at the printer. Sorry. I want to make sure that the voltage is correct for that motor, so that I don't have any more of these Y offsets on prints. A few things I would like to do to this printer. I do have. Let me get back to. There you go. Hi. So I do have a new motherboard available for this, and I will be making use of that in the near future. Again, kudos to Rui Raptor because he made a tutorial using, I think they were 2208 drivers, and there was another one he used for the extruder, and that made some improvements to the printer, and also took care of some of the artifacting. So that's another worthwhile upgrade, I feel, for this printer. The other things that I have in mind for this printer. I do have Capricorn tubing. This is one of those things where I knew I had to order some, and I must have ordered it. I think I ordered from two places in one day. It was one of those mornings where I gotta get it, gotta get it. So I ordered some from Printed Solid, and then later in the day, I told myself, you still gotta order that. And for whatever reason, I should have checked my email. Would have shown that I had an email receipt for what I bought already. But I bought a meter's worth of it on Amazon as well. So I have plenty of Capricorn tubing right now. But that's one of the things I would like to get rid of on this stuff is whatever that PTFE Bowden tube is that's on this, upgrade that. So I know some people think I'm being hard on the TiVo. I know my friend Dan is a big fan of the TiVo because he does like the AC bed, and the fact that this thing is so upgradable that it doesn't take a whole lot to fix a lot of the flaws. And you know what? If you like doing that, if you have that experience, then by all means. I mean, this is not a horrible printer for that. Light or dark blue? The one that I have, let's see. Stuff that I have here is the dark blue. So I have this package, and I have a bigger package with even more of it. Yeah, and I don't print flex. Oh, by the way, hi Todd, how are you? Gotta acknowledge my visitors. I don't see myself using the flexibles, but I'm one of those people that I like to have my printer kind of loaded for bear. Call it overkill, I guess. But so I figured, why not? The other thing I have, well, to the right of me, I have two boxes, which are the CR10 electronics for my CR10 to upgrade it to a CR10S. I also have, I bought it as soon as they became available last year as well, the dual Z screw for the original CR10. And while I was at it, I also bought the metal extruder because that plastic one just isn't a whole lot of fun. Interesting. So some of your people got jammed up on this stuff. I wonder why that would be, because this stuff is supposed to be super slippery. Making me wonder if I should check the the other package. Okay, so in my little try to keep track of all my stuff here. So this is my this is the micro Swiss nozzle for the CR10. This is the Hicktop CR10 series all metal extruder, and then as you can see, I got more tubing. So that CR10 is going to get a significant upgrade. So between the electronics, the only other things I don't have in this stack of stuff, it's also going to get an easy ABL. I've been really impressed with that. I didn't know what to think of it. I was really curious. The way that he wrote his documentation, it looks a little daunting. Didn't see a lot of graphics or pictures or things like that, just lots of walls of text. So I thought, oh, this might not be for me. But when he made contact with me and said, hey, would you like to try one? I'll give you a pretty significant discount if you want to try it. And if you like it, hate it, write a review, let me know. And had a phone conversation with him, spoke about it, and answered all my questions. And as you can see from the video I released, it was not nearly as bad as I thought. The firmware had me a little worried, but so I'm definitely one of those people that's very pro easy ABL. In hindsight, I mean, to put on the next printer would take me, probably less than half an hour. I don't think it would take very long at all. But what I do like is it doesn't replace good bed leveling, but I do like the idea that I have another tool another arrow in my quiver, so that if I am going to do a print that's going to take a long time, I like the idea of knowing that I got a really good first layer. I would be really curious to hear, Todd, more of your feedback on, or what information you've heard as far as the dark blue versus light blue, having trouble with PLA, because that's predominantly what I use, especially with the BB-8 project back here. A lot of the guys, want to print it in PETG or ABS or other materials because they're concerned about heat. Um, I'm not going to have my droid sitting out in the sun. I'm in Maine, so it's not like I'm out in Arizona or the tropics where, these things could really, get messed up if they sat outside for any long duration of time. So this is like watching water boil. I keep expecting to see a Y shift, but so far, so good. So it's looking good, all right. Good so far. Okay, I hope my audio is coming in okay because I have a bunch of other stuff running in the background, the fan, the humidifier. It is summer in Maine, and with it comes the humidity. Actually, we're supposed to be getting rain, so let me see if I'm missing any questions outside of what I'm seeing here. And I did have people asking me when am I going to start working on the the Fullertech FTI 3, and that is on my radar to do this week actually. I do want to go over the manual. I want to do some more reading up on it. This way, when I start in on it, the the package I was waiting for, which was the hardware, that showed up on Friday. But for the last couple of days, as you guys may have noticed in my live stream, I love flight simulators. I'm a pilot, and I got my license in 1992, so 26 years. And the only thing I've driven is mostly Cessna single-engine aircraft. I did take some helicopter flying lessons, and those are amazing. And the price to fly them is very amazing too. So, but like a lot of folks, as you become an adult, the priorities sometimes change. Buying a house did that. Of course, prior to that, 9/11 happened, so everything aviation pretty much tripled in price. So, uh, so yeah, that's why every now and then I like to jump back into video games. Go do that, take a break from the 3D printers, and have some fun. I am one of those people that if I ever won the lottery, chances are I'd be the guy that buys the retired MiG fighter. So the louder and noisier, the better. Thank you. Someone's going to be that guy. And there we go. So if you guys have questions for me, go ahead and throw it up there. I'm just watching these layers here. They're looking pretty good. On my to-do list is to replace that webcam with a higher definition one. The camera you're watching right now, that is one of my cameras I use on one of my Octoprint servers. So, and then the other one is built into the laptop, and does a pretty good job. Speaking of upgrades, someone needs a shave. One of those guys that I shave maybe a couple times a week. I really need to speed that up. The other thing you might notice here, that print surface, that is polypropylene, and I got that from Tidy Machines, and I guess it's Memu Robot, or I can't think of the brand name. I think I got it face down on the build plate, to be honest with you, so I couldn't tell you what it is anyway. I'd have to go look at the other one on the CR10S. When it comes to build surfaces, I'm always skeptical because everyone has their own unique opinion. So far, this stuff has worked out very well. Now, with a tall print like this, I'll be curious if it stays intact, doesn't topple over, stuff like that. But for the price, I think this stuff has worked out pretty darn well. It's easy to scratch. It reminds me of FR5. I can't remember the technical name, or maybe it's GR1 on this side of my R2D2. I have a flip-down electronic bag. When I open up the back panel of R2, that panel can unscrew and fold down, and that's where all of the motor controllers and what have you, the power converters, are attached. But that's what this stuff strongly resembles. Well, I'm not seeing any shifting yet, and honestly, it looks like it's doing a pretty decent job. But Simplify 3D said this was going to take an hour, hour and a half, if I recall correctly. And we all know Simplify 3D and their time prediction is a little off. I think the next thing I would be really curious, once I get the Bowden tube taken care of, I'm also wondering about that hot end. I mean, I've already got one micro Swiss going into one printer. Maybe it's time to invest in one of those for this one. I did see a YouTuber, maybe it was CNC Kitchen was his name, and he had put a Titan Arrow on his CR10. And I can only imagine, I mean, that's a pretty good chunk of weight sliding back and forth on this thing. So I'm curious if any other people have done stuff like that on theirs. You can't help into falling into this trap, so to speak, of wanting to always upgrade or refine this or make it better. It seems like once you solve one problem, then you start thinking about, well, I saw something, or I saw a video, or I saw this, and the thing is, these fixes aren't terribly expensive. So that's why it's easy to love these things, because once you resolve the basics, it's 60 bucks here, 25 bucks there, and it's easy to get roped into these. Now, if I was a really smart man, I would look at where that shift happened. Okay, it was about 100 and so it was 12 centimeters. Okay. So, and that is nowhere near being. Yeah, we got a ways to go. But I'm looking around at the model here to see if we had any other Y shifts. We did have. There is kind of a dark line. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up here, but there is a darkened line here. So I'm wondering if that was one of the spots that got hit too. A lot of guys complain about the artifacting in the salmon skin effect that you get. And I don't know if I can hold this in the light just right, but I mean, for a dragon wing, if there's a model that looks okay with that kind of artifact, it would be this one. A little stringy, but yeah, so far. The minute I walk away from this thing, it's going to topple over. So, to those watching from home or mobile, hello. My name is Paul. Welcome to Where Nerdy is Cool. If you are not already a subscriber, please become one. Don't want you to miss any of my content. I've been really impressed at the amount of subscribers and viewers and feedback I've been getting over the last couple of weeks. That's awesome, guys. Not trying to outdo or compete with anybody, but I mean, there's a lot of guys that I follow and subscribe to, but I just enjoy the opportunity to learn from all these different people and different points of view. And I hope while you're watching me, well, you learn a few things and have some fun. All right, well, I think that is going to have to be left on its own and see what happens. Yeah, so far so good. Look at that. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to let the Tevo Tornado keep on churning away. It's had a couple hours left to it. Here's fingers crossed that we don't get any Y-layer shifting here. It's doing a pretty decent job. I had a few obstacles getting this print going because I had to move the filament spool to get into the electronics box to adjust the drivers. The filament had snapped inside the Bowden tube, and that's always fun. You can't get it. All that you can do is feed more filament and have that push the other stuff out. And it did all right. I primed the nozzle. I had it push through 120 millimeters so that, whatever was in there would kind of feed through. I don't know if that was enough. Probably not. But it looks like things are working okay. Just kind of watching this, and I'm curious how straight that's going to be too. So we'll know exactly, if we have to do any more calibrating. And one lesson I learned is do not calibrate your X, Y, and Z with just E steps. What you want to do is, by measuring the results on the print. Rory Raptor has a good video where he taped a needle on there and put a ruler on the ground, and you have it move so much, and you do it based on the results there. So you want to make sure for your X, Y, and Z, you're calibrating based on the mechanical settings. So I still need to do that to this one, and just to double check to make sure that I did it right. And the same sort of the CR10, CR10S. I'll give those a double check as well, just to make sure. Anyway, I said I was going to be heading out, so I'm going to wrap this up here in the next minute or two. I just want to see if I can catch it. I would just love to know that this thing is going to be all good after this, because I like to try to get some large prints out of this printer and really kind of get a good grasp of what it's capable of doing. The CR10s I know are doing excellent work. I've got them doing various prints, but this one's been a little bit behind the pack here. I've had to do a lot more tuning to get this guy somewhat reliable. So there it is. Let me give you one last look at it here. It's still, as you can see, that test print is starting to get up there. It's getting a little bit taller. Yeah, the SD card was the first thing I threw away. The other day when I was at one of the big box stores, they had a couple 32 gig cards for $5.99. So I picked up a few of those and opted to go that way. And I should probably pick up another Raspberry Pi or two and put one on this guy. So, yeah, so far. There's a few other upgrades I know that I saw that people can do to these things. I'm really on the fence. I'm curious if any of my viewers, and maybe I should post this video-wise in one of my next videos, the various Fang or Pets fan. Because I know with this setup, we've only got air coming in from one side. And of course, with a really good print, you'd want to have air all around. Dinner's here. No problem. Cheers. So that might be something else I give some thought to here, maybe improving the part cooling. But Let's get the fundamentals squared up first. Square it up. See what I did there? All right. That's it for me tonight. I'll let this thing do its work. And then maybe tomorrow evening I'll start work on the Fulgortech FTI3. All the parts and pieces are here. So the giant bag of hardware screws I need to sort through and put in containers. Not my favorite task, but it's got to be done. All right. Well, one last peek. There it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you're not a subscriber already, please become one. I don't want you to miss my content. And you can also get sneak peeks or see what I'm up to on my Facebook page, Where Nerdy is Cool. I do post stuff on Instagram, and Instagram name is Where Nerdy is Cool. And of course, the website is wherenerdyiscool.com. And I would not be offended one bit if you wanted to help me out on Patreon. And that is patreon.com/Where Nerdy is Cool. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for watching, and, well, stay nerdy.